So to jump off the the EWC podcast, we got Mr. Garrett himself here, former state champion from Elgin. What year did you graduate?
2018.
2018. Being back in the wrestling room now. Well, tell us about what you're doing right now as far as your college and stuff like that goes.
So I'm finishing up my degree in Parks and Rec Management, and I just got back from Alaska doing salmon habitat management. And then February, I'll be leaving for Oregon for a job doing natural resources and wildlife biology.
Oh yeah, what got you into that, man?
I like being outside, and it's weird that it's a job, so I was like, I could get paid to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Mm-hmm. So what's it like being back in the wrestling room, man?
Dude, it's good. I'm out of shape, so it's helping me out and get back into shape, and it's crazy to see how many kids are in here and how much this program has grown. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. I know, watching you work with certain kids, man, I think it's another good aspect, about, former wrestlers coming in and giving back, man. I think that's always very important in any program, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus it's fun to watch you whoop on some of these kids, I ain't gonna lie.
100%.
It's fun to whoop on some.
Take some pressure off of me.
Man, as far as, being back into wrestling, man, what's one of the biggest things that you would say, like, you miss about, the competition side of wrestling?
Biggest thing I miss is probably, I think, the practice of having someone to push you and hold you accountable is pretty important. Like, I was lucky enough to have Jacob Butler come here, and when he came here, that's when I was like, this dude wants to win. I want to be like this dude. I want to win too. And it was great to have people to hold you accountable and have good practice partners, and everybody wants to win. When everyone wants to win, then, you have a good wrestling team.
My man is preaching over there. That's exactly, when I described that team, and I described, like, when I first got here, the culture, it was a good core group of, some kids that really needed to figure some things out, and they all came together, and they wanted to win, just like Isaac spoke on right there. When you want to win, it creates the culture, and now we're living in that culture. We're coaching in that culture of kids where, we're 80 deep here on a Tuesday morning practice, junior high and high school, 6th through 12th grade, and every single kid in here has the mindset of, I want to win. If you're showing up at 9 a.m. on a day you don't have to, you want to be in here, you want to win.
Hell yeah. Cody, you got a funny story you can tell us about Isaac?
The one I tell to the kids all the time, and it's just one that I don't know. It helps kids, believe in the process and believe that I'm telling them the truth. Though Isaac, we were cutting down to 182, and I told him, I said, Isaac, if you cut down to 182, you'll win state. Simple. And he's getting down for the cash duel, has to make flat weight, and he's working at McDonald's, which I don't recommend. Sometimes you do what you have to do, but if you're cutting weight, working at a fast food restaurant, it's usually not the best thing. But he calls me like 11 o'clock at night before the duel, like almost in tears. Coach, I can't do it. I'm about to eat all these chicken nuggets. I'm about to slam a McDouble, stuff like that, And so basically it's a crisis hotline there for a few minutes, and we talk him into, get through it, be done, makes weight the next day, wins, and then pins his way through regionals and state pretty much, and state champion. And then, that's something that you can go back and say, hey, aren't you glad you did that?
Absolutely. It was something I had to overcome, and it was more mental than anything, and it sucked. The whole process sucked, but it was definitely worth it in the end.
1,000%. That's what I just try to get kids to realize, especially at that young of an age. It's so cool to have Isaac back, not saying he's grown by any means, but he is a totally different person than what he was in high school. He's grown and matured, and he can see the outside, looking back in now. And he's one of those guys that I'm glad was able to see that while he was in high school. There's a lot of kids that can't figure that out while they're in high school, and they lose that window of opportunity. So that's what we're trying to relay. That's the message we're trying to convey to people. The process is not fun. The process is terrible sometimes, but if you fall in love with that process and you fall in love with the grind, the results are endless, and that, translates into life as well. That's why that dude has a cool job right now.
Oh yeah, he does. Man, one of my favorite stories I like to tell, and I probably tell it like 2 or 3 times a year, I would say, when it comes to wrestling. My father-in-law, a big wrestler, fan of wrestling, and he always says, you got to learn a good single leg. And you say why? It's because, well, if you missed a double, you got a good single. You know, then he talks about a half, basic half Nelson and cowboy stand up. We're at the state tournament. We're watching you wrestling. Sure shit, you stick to the Tuttle kid and a half Nelson. All right, and my father was like, see?
Yeah, it's crazy. It beat a good kid in the finals and made it look effortless. You know, made the whole tournament look effortless. But that's what people don't see, the effort behind closed doors. It might have looked effortless there, but there was lots of nights on the phone and not sure if we're doing the right thing. One I remember, and I know Isaac don't quite know that, you know, I was quite in on the whole thing, but we got beat at dual state, you know, and you got headlocked several times, and we ended up losing the duel, you know, and we were really counting on you, and you got beat by a kid that was tough. And, you know, I know you thought about quitting wrestling after that match, that deep into the season. And, you know, just seeing the mental adversity that you face and you're able to get through right there. You know, if kids will just relax for a second and see the other side of that and not make big panic decisions, you know, usually things are going to work out, and things did work out, you know, and trusted the process.
We talked a little bit about yesterday, but your style of wrestling, you know, when I first got here, I remember looking at Cody like, man, this dude, you know, does he know what he's doing? You know what I mean? Because from my point of view, I'd never seen anybody wrestle like you know what I mean? But then after you watch a little bit, okay, he knows what he's doing, you know. Where'd your style of wrestling, where'd that come from?
Well, I would watch a lot of videos, Bo Nickel and Ben Askren, just two of the funkiest wrestlers that just have ever wrestled, you know. And I had the body type like Bo Nickel and, you know, big and tall and lanky. I'd watch his videos, and it's not like I would even remember how to do it. I wouldn't remember how to do those moves. It came naturally. After watching, I'm like, oh, that's easy. You just do like that. And I have a very unorthodox style of wrestling, and I don't really teach kids how to do it or encourage them to try and do it, because there's a lot of situations where it could go bad. Thankfully, with my body size and style, it worked to my advantage. But yeah, it's very unorthodox and funky, and I got away with it.
Such a mature statement right there, hey, Isaac, you know, someone that can look back and realize, you know, that it's not for everybody. And just to see him come back into the room, and that's been the coolest thing, is to see. I know Isaac, when he was in high school, every single day it was, all right, we're going to fight somebody, we're going to do something. It's some sort of attitude. Now he's coming in here teaching these kids and just showing a little bit calmer and gentle, you know, just a more grown-up side. But yeah, that body type got you through a lot of unique situations, to say the least.
Yeah.
You and your older brother, correct? He's a year older than you, right?
Yeah.
How much did that help you out, having another tall person in practice?
Oh, man. That was me and my brother, when we'd wrestle, it was a battle. Like, there was no ever taking it easier on each other. I would wrestle to hurt him, and he would wrestle to hurt me. And so every time I went against him, it was a live match. Like, it was, I'm going to pin you, and I'm going to make you cry. Like, that's the way it was. And him being big, it was you know, it was like wrestling my own body style.
Right.
And he wasn't as funky with me, he wasn't as funky wrestling with me as I am with other people. But it was just a good look. We gave each other good looks every day in practice, and you know, I would say it helped me win state because, you know, it was the best look I got in this wrestling room was from my brother.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He was the same size, you know, same type of body length, but he was a little bit more technical. Didn't have some of the physical attributes, you know, athletically, as I thought. Like, you could really use your hips and throw people around. Mm-hmm. But he was a technical wrestler, and, you know, ended up getting third at state for us and just having a fantastic career. You know, he's looking back, you know, that was just a solid wrestler that went through. You know, got third in a weight class where Malcolm Rodriguez won it. You know, it's not like you're out there losing to any slow. You know, he's out there playing linebacker for the Lions right now. So that was cool, you know, and just to see you compete against kids like that. You know, I watched Isaac wrestle a lot of good kids. I watched Zach wrestle a lot of good kids. You know, Malcolm Rodriguez, Brock Martin, kids like that, and matches that we were in, matches that we're always competing in.
As far as like the mentality of wrestling coming in your senior year without having your brother there, what was that like for you?
It was weird. I would say it was weird, but thankfully I still had a good crowd around me. I had Alton and
oh yeah,
Alton was there, Jacob Butler was there, and we all Strange, yeah. We all wanted to win. We always pushed each other hard, and you know, we didn't give each other any slack. And I still got good looks in practice thanks to those guys. And Yeah, so it's
Absolutely. Every guy he mentioned right there, and that senior class, that 2018 senior class, that's one when I look back on, that's one that really helped elevate this wrestling program and, produce multiple state champions, state placers, state qualifiers. So just overall, that's why we have the only banner hung up in this room in here is them guys, just because, I look for them kind of as, foundational people, and every single one of them give back to the program one way or another. Strange is helping us out. Alton's always around. Butler's in and out, and it's a good look from that class.
That winning attitude, that refusal to lose, and also the willingness to understand the simple term, iron sharpen iron. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How infectious was that year with y'all?
Oh man, it was the reason why we did so good is because we just didn't give each other any slack, and we knew the fact that if we didn't give each other slack, we would be successful from it. And we would go, and I'm a lot bigger than Strange and Butler, but we'd still wrestle each other and give each other good looks because we know that you're going to wrestle somebody in all different styles of body types, you know. And Jacob Butler wrestled people bigger than him, he's tall and lanky too. Right. And so he had a pretty good funk to him too when he would wrestle. And so it was good looks on both sides, and we realized, if we keep doing this, we'll be successful from it, and we were.
So, Coach Rao, what year did you get here? Like, did you get here his sophomore year?
His junior year.
His junior year?
His junior year, yeah.
What was the transition like for you and the rest of the team, having Coach Rao coming in? How did that play a role into it?
Oh, we hated him. No. We had Coach Oz, and he's a fantastic coach too,
Sure.
and one of the best. And Coach Rao came in, and he filled his shoes very well, and he didn't give us any slack, and he would push us too. He encouraged us to wrestle each other even if we were different sizes, because he understood the fact that you're going to wrestle people different than you.
Yeah.
And and he put a lot into this program, and he's the reason why we have state champs and why we're so good and why this program's growing. Is because when you got a good coach that cares about the team and is willing to push you to become a state champ, he knows what he's doing. So,
yeah, 100%.
I appreciate that, and it's weird now. Like, I'm kind of at a point in my career, 7 years in, where I can see the growth, and I can see kind of the outside looking in of all the work that was put in, foundationally to start. But now, I feel like I'm working harder now than ever. Because we're where we need to be as far as mentality. We just need to pull the trigger. We need to have success with what we're doing, and just like what you spoke about, having kids that care about the program and come back and want to invest back in because they know what they put into it. They see what we all put in as coaching staff, and just to see also, like I talked about, to see my coaching mentality and how it's changed different from when Isaac was first in here, and then Isaac comes back 7 years later, and then just to see how I coach differently now. It's obviously a little bit different. When I was in there at 29 years old, I was trying to put my foot up in everybody, and just establish that, I can come in here and show you what to do and really, really be after it. And not that I've really backed off on that. I like to come in here and mix it up with the kids all the time and make sure I hold them accountable. But I can understand a lot of different situations a little bit differently. Not saying that I ease up on people as far as, hardships, because you're going to have hardships. And I try to just let everybody know hardships are going to come the same. How you react to them is how you're going to, eventually overcome that. So I try to treat them on the same level, but I also know every kid has a different situation. Every kid has things going on. So just trying to adapt as a coach and grow as a coach. And when you have wrestlers that are at a really high level, you have to coach them differently than you coach the kids that are at a beginner's level. And I never want to lose, reality and grasp of that. I want to be able to coach both of those kids at a high level. And I think that's where we're at as a program.
Having a group of kids like that, I think, is really important, because one of the things I've talked to you about, some coaches, in practice, being willing just to practice with whoever's out there. You know what I mean? I think that's really key to it, because like you said earlier, that you never know who you're wrestling. You know what I mean? You get into a tournament, there could be somebody tall like yourself or short, stocky cat, either way. But being able to mix it up in the wrestling room, I think, is really important. Cody, what's some of the things that you remember from that class group about the importance, the willingness of them willing to exchange in practice?
I mean, there's a point, like, and even as a coach, I've learned this: you have to drop your pride, and that you have to be willing to get taken down in a practice. You have to be willing to be vulnerable in a practice and get beat. You know, just like me as a coach, I have to go out there, and if somebody takes me down, I need to give them the best look possible. You know, not me getting taken down by a kid because he's in high school, and because it happens every once in a while. I hope it does. I hope in every room, you know, you have kids that are pushing you like that and taking down their coaches. Then, you know, you're doing what you're supposed to. Not saying that it's a frequent thing, but we don't encourage the kids to come in here with an ego. You know, if you come in here and think that you're going to go through a practice and never get taken down, never get scored on, that usually translates into a bad demeanor and a bad attitude after you lose a match, you know, because you have unrealistic expectations. In this sport, you're going to lose matches no matter who you are. No matter who you are, you're going to lose matches. How do you handle that? You know, do you start feeling sorry for yourself? Do you create an injury? Do you stay at home and just say, hey, I'm sick today, I don't want to be at practice, you know? Or do you have the mindset where you immediately flip it and say, yo, I got to fix this. I need to dive in. I need to trust the process, because the process is getting beat. The people say trust the process. You know, the process is getting beat and enduring things like that. Me as a coach, I've lost some incredibly tough duels. You know, Isaac was a part of two of them. You know, one, you know, and they were terrible. But I have to go back and reevaluate and trust the process of what I'm doing. And just as I keep preaching to these kids, you're gonna lose, you're gonna win. It's all about the outcome.
And Isaac, in high school, was there any significant injuries or anything you had to deal with, or just nagging injuries or anything?
I remember my junior year at regionals, I was going against this Clinton kid, and he grabbed onto my hamstring and it felt like he just ripped it off. And going into state my junior year, that was it hurt to stand, it hurt to walk, but I went 2 and out at my junior year at high school state, and that made me so mad. You know, it was.
And just to speak on that, you know, when people talk about trusting the process, that's a prime example. You, as a sophomore, I wasn't here, but you got 4th at state, correct?
Yeah.
And then your junior year, you come in and you don't place. And then after that, you could have made a real choice. You could have been like, yo, Coach Rao, I don't know what he's talking about. You know, I'm 4th with Coach Oz. I could just say, yo, screw this. I'm not going to wrestle my senior year. But that is what showing mental toughness is. You know, being able to say, man, that is a huge setback. That's a setback. But then, you know, the reward, because you stayed steady, you stayed doing the right things, and thankfully you trusted everything, the reward was far better.
Yeah,
far better.
Absolutely.
So what was that mentality like coming back your senior year, knowing you didn't place the year before?
Oh, it cut my ego. I remember going into my first duel my junior year, and after I just won 4th, I came in with an ego, and I was going against Connor Doucette, pinned me in the first period, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm a state placer, this kid's a freshman, I'm going to whoop him, and like 30 seconds into the match, he catches me in a cradle and pins me, or a spladle, actually. Spladles me and pins me, and I was like, that sucked. And so I tried to work hard that season and didn't place. Had 2 really bad matches at state. And going into my senior year, I was like, I'm going to win. I want to win. And I know I'm going to have to work hard to win. So thankfully I have a room of guys in here that want to win also. And we just push each other. And yeah. So it was a feat to overcome, and really just cutting out my ego and realizing you're not the baddest dog in the room until you are.
Exactly, man. Until you are. That's a great way to put it. That's kind of what wrestlers roll around with, you know, all the time. I feel like you're not the baddest dog in the room until you need to be, and then we are. That's a good way to put it.
As far as your mentality, your winning attitude, you know, how did that transfer once you started going to college and stuff like that? How did you use that mental toughness to transfer it to schoolwork?
You know, going into college, I didn't take advantage of it right away, and I saw it as an opportunity to slack off because I didn't have my parents around or anything, or people to keep me accountable, and I didn't really use that transition of going from that mentality of working hard to staying working hard. I used it as like, all right, I'm going to take a break. And I regret that, you know. And then once I got to the opportunity to do wildland firefighting as for the BIA and the BLM and the Forest Service, you know, I realized it was like kind of like a team again. You know, you have this group of guys that want to go out there and you got to work hard. And you're not going to be that guy that's sitting around not doing anything, because people don't like that guy. People don't respect that guy that's not doing anything and not caring or not working.
Yeah.
And so I used it then to rebuild myself, and I've been using it ever since. I lost it for a bit, but I found out how to bring it back.
That's a great way to put it, and I feel that on a lot of levels, just because when I was done with college wrestling, I went and took a different career choice for 5 or 6 years, and just because I thought I wanted to be away from it, and I don't know, just wasn't always making the right decisions in those years. Some of them were good, but just without wrestling, the discipline was missing in my life. And then once I found that once again, was able to dive back into it, it was just what you said. You still have the same exact setup. You have a team around you, and my job as a coach is to not only coach these kids, but I have to coach adults too. When you're the head coach, I have to create a coaching staff with other people that are all pulling on the same rope. So you have to be held accountable for that. And I don't know, that's carrying over into life, just like you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going into wildlife management and stuff like that now. How was you ever thought about maybe getting into coaching?
I would like to, definitely. After my high school career ended, I didn't really compete in sports or anything athletic like that. And then I found jiu-jitsu and started doing that for about a year, this past year. And I really liked that because it felt like a physical sport again. And that's basically kind of what sparked me up to come back in here. It was like, dude, that's awesome. I love being around all these guys that, like grappling and all that stuff. And, and I would like to have an opportunity to coach if I can. But, with my career choices now, I don't see coaching being an opportunity till later in life. But I definitely hope I find a way to get back into it, because this is a sport I fell in love with. I'd prefer this over football or anything like that. I'd rather watch the NCAAs than, NCAAs in football or NFL or anything like that. This is a sport that, brings a different mentality to life and everything. And, this is a sport that builds people and keeps people humble, because you're going to lose, and, it teaches you a lot of lessons in life, and I hope I never lose that.
No, it does. I think it says you can usually tell a good wrestler based off their attitude, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I wasn't developing into a good wrestler until like my senior year, because I just had a bad attitude. You know what I mean? I didn't have somebody could reach out. But my senior year, once I was able to kind of hone that in and kind of mature a little bit, I allowed that mentality to take me pretty far in my military career, working at that area. Just knowing that sometimes you just need to shut up and listen.
Do you think that, we'll dive in here on it, but do you think that as kids have that problem of giving up authority because of the way they were raised?
Yeah.
Is that like, because that's what I see with a lot of kids when they start figuring out, coach is not against me like every other teacher in this school, where you might have an English teacher that's constantly riding you, and then you just see everybody lumped into the same figure. When you stop realizing, hey, coach is being mean to me, but he's being mean to me for a good reason, or he's really trying to help me here. Once you break that stigma down, I think that helps out a lot. But that probably all stems from childhood, it just depends on, I think, how you're raised and, what environment you were raised in and who taught you, who initially taught you how to do things, and then how did you react, and then how did they react. And
yeah, a lot of too, especially if you have like I've seen, if you have a parent that's, chirping, disagreeing with what the coach is saying, the authority figure, that kind of clips your knees out from underneath it.
It's the worst thing a parent can do, man. And like me and my wife really, really try to be diligent about that. and just try to practice of not speaking bad about anybody in front of our kids, because you might have to eventually depend on that person to do something for you. And then if you tell your kid who's 7 years old, hey, I need you to do this for them, instantly you're going to think, hey, I remember when you were saying that person was not a very good person, or, that person don't know what they're talking about. Then instantly when you try to teach them something in wrestling, there's doubt. There's doubt casted.
And man, that doubt, man, that can be infectious too, man. You know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
Looking back and hearing y'all stories, man, the one thing that I really, that class, the 2018 class is, you had a lot of leaders on that team, you know what I mean? And I think having a lot of leaders and having a lot of guys that was willing to go the distance to be champions, I think that whole thing was infectious. Because if it was the opposite, they were shitheads, you know what I mean? You ain't going to have the turnout.
I was still a bit of a shithead.
But you was able to listen, though.
Yeah.
But you could listen.
I was coachable.
You was coachable.
Yeah.
What's a good saying that you said last?
Coachable. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. People can be wild and they can have an attitude. Just depends if you're coachable at times. And I can say almost every single time he'd look me in the eye and say, "Yes, sir, you're right. It was never you're wrong," or anything like that. So that's a coachable person. Sometimes you got to fight them though. You gotta fight them back to wholeness.
Yeah.
What's the maddest or most upset you ever think you got at Cody or just any coach in general?
Truly, I don't think I've ever really got mad at him. There was times, where he'd have to humble me, after I lost a match or anything like that. And probably going back to Connor Doucette when I lost, I didn't even shake the coach's hand after the match. I just walked off the mat. I didn't even go to Coach Rowell or anything. I just walked into the locker room, and I was mad, and I'm disappointed in myself looking back now. I was like, that was pathetic, Like, that was very, immature of me to do that. And, I look back at that, and I'm like, man.
But I also, I understand that to a point, sometimes where I'm just like, yo, you need to get out of there and just go, And I understand it. People are not always going to act their character when things don't go right. Yeah. And, wrestling is a very intimate and tough sport sometimes. And just like you talked about, beat by a younger kid in front of your home crowd, it is not a good look. Mm-hmm. And I remember being mad about that and being mad about other situations, but never to a point where I don't know, things that make me mad are when kids act like they don't care or they don't respect the time that's being put into a sport. Those are the type of things that really, frustrate me, just because I put every single thing I have into it, and I want to get that back from the kids in return.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good point. And I think, unfortunately in the coaching field, you're gonna have to put a lot of effort into some kids, and some kids just ain't gonna take it. They ain't gonna accept it. And I think for a coach, Cody, you probably elaborate a little more on this. I mean, you just have to realize that's part of the job sometimes,
Yeah, it's really hard, and it takes me still till now to realize, probably going to put that effort in no matter what on every kid, just because you never know what the outcome's going to be. But you get a little smarter on some of the certain situations that you're in. But if you want to be a good coach, you can't let that type of thing jade you, because if you do, then you'll start missing out on some opportunities to really make a difference in a kid's life. Like a kid that needs wrestling a lot more than we need them in wrestling. So you cannot lose sight of that as a coach. And if you do, that's maybe it's time for a reevaluation. That don't come without saying that I absolutely want to win every single thing possible.
Yeah.
Just make that extremely clear. Because it's my competitive nature. That's something that I talked to my wife a lot about this week, is just how we dove into this wrestling thing, and how we're so involved now, and we're such into our club and just our high school and junior high teams that, man, it's a lifestyle, and we're going to go 100% on it because that's what we do. And, just success is the only option as far as our program.
100%. Well, shit, man, you got anything else you want to add in there?
I was going to say, I do see that, your program, I could only see it going forward. I don't see it falling back or people not being interested in wrestling anymore, because the program that's been created it's incredible. I mean, there's a girls team now, that's pretty unheard of to me. Elgin having a girls wrestling team. We have the little league, and like that was cool, but now it's in high school wrestling, and it's like, man, that's crazy how much the sport has grown, and I want to see it keep growing because this is a great program and a great school and got a great team.
Absolutely. It's just it goes back to podcast me and Derek's done before, just talking about our community. We want this community to be successful. And how I feel like you have successful community is you put good people, through wrestling out there. Wrestling's put a lot of good people out in this world. And, it's just like you speak on. It's a standard that we have to live about. And young men like you coming home and giving back is that's what verifies to me as a coach that we're doing the right thing. We're doing the right thing. All that time and effort and on the phone with you at McDonald's 11 o'clock at night, that crap is worth it. I would do that tenfold to get the results that I have now. Not the state champion results, that's great. That comes with it, but you're a good human. You're doing the right things. That's what you want as a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the most important thing, man.
100%.
Oh, don't worry. We didn't forget about Coach Rob. Here we go.
Let
The
y'all
junior
finish up.
year,
I'll see y'all tonight.
And then now you're going in hungry for the senior year. Did you talk
That
about
was,
that?
I had to face some adversity and swallow my ego and realize that if I want to be the best, I'm going to have to work hard and actually, push myself and push other teammates and have them push me to be able to get that outcome. And, going into my junior year, placing for my sophomore year, I had an ego. And that got cut the first match of the season. And I lost. I got pinned in 30 seconds my junior year. And, that swallowed my pride a little bit. But, I still thought I was hot shit, going into throughout the season because, I maintained a pretty good record my junior year. I think it was around like 32 wins and like 29 of them were pins. And I've probably lost, like 6 matches.
Yeah.
And so I still thought, I was the stud. And then not placing at state, going 2 and out. And, it just got headlocked in the first match and beat the crap out of me. This kid was slamming me, headlocking me. And I got a long neck. So, they see that. And
As a target?
Yeah, they took advantage of it. And then, going on the backside of the bracket, same thing, headlock, getting slammed, and it just, after losing that first match at state, I just basically crumbled. I was like, I didn't even want third. I wasn't even hungry at that point. And I was like, I just want to go home. And it was, it sucked. It was not something that I'm proud of by any means, but I just wanted to be done. I wanted to go home. And then coming back into my senior year, I was like, I want to win state, and I'm going to win state, and these guys are going to help me, and I'm going to help them. And we just pushed each other hard, and, we realized, the only way to do it is to do it and do it right and help each other out. And we had a good team and a good program, and, Coach Rao would help us out, and he would push us, and we'd push each other, and in the end, we were successful in our mission.
Yeah.
So,
On that note, as far as when you talk about junior year to senior year, your mentality changed. You put in the work in order to achieve that goal. Mm-hmm. What were some of the technical aspects of your wrestling game that you did different from your junior year to your senior year? Did you grow technically as a wrestler?
I didn't get headlocked other than one time. I only got headlocked once. I'd keep my neck kind of sunk in. That was my kryptonite. That was the only way people have pinned me was a headlock. Throughout my entire high school career was a headlock and one spladle. So yeah, and I just realized got to keep my head down, and my style is funky because I want people to shoot in on me. I'll stand up and expose my legs so people could shoot in on me, and I'll just go in with an elevator lift and a overhook, maybe grab the head, and I'll just go to my back and just throw them over, and I just roll them over and pin them, and that was my bread and butter throughout my entire high school career. And I don't encourage people to do that because that's a dangerous situation. You could get to your back and get stuck. Right. And, that's just I protected my neck. That was what I did different. And, I wrestled a lot of good kids my senior year. The only people I lost to were state champs my senior year. And, I mean, I put in the work and I tried, I actually tried and I wanted to win. And had a group around me that wanted to win also. And that was the main reason why I won.
Yeah.
Alton was young too for y'all's group, man.
Yeah, he was
like if he would have been held back another year, he would have been all right.
Yeah, because I think he graduated when he was like 17.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild, dude.
Yeah, he got bumped up or skipped a grade when he was younger, and he was a stud too. Like
he's throwing me around.
Alton was hard to wrestle because he had no neck, so I couldn't never really get a front headlock on him or anything. I'd just have to do the scissor lift or the elevator lift without it, and that was really I couldn't shoot in on him because he was so strong and built different that it was like I couldn't pick him up.
And he was athletic too,
and he was athletic and quick. Yeah, and he would. I've seen him pick people up and slam them. And he's just could do a duck under really quick, just throw it by over his head. And get around him and take him down. And he was an athlete, and we had that entire senior class was full of athletes. And they wanted to win and wanted to be at state, which was really cool.
Did I talk about any jiu-jitsu at all?
I got into it that I started doing it, but I didn't get into anything about it. If you want to,
I do. I wanted to get your perspective as far as you're getting into a different sport, right? Because jiu-jitsu and wrestling, even though there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
What are the things that served you well as a wrestler going in, and then some of the things like I need to adjust this so I can get better at this sport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I fouled up on getting into it is I wouldn't go to my back, When I'd first get into it, if someone took me down or we get into that position or we get to guard, I just go like naturally just try and get my back off the ground. I was like, I'm not trying to get pinned. And then they just rear naked choke me and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that again,
Exposing the neck again,
yeah,
right?
It was terrible, but it took that happened twice and I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so I just, stay in guard and, but I like takedowns, I'd like being up on my feet and being able to take people down because a lot of my wrestling was judo. I would throw a lot, and so if I could get people standing up in jiu-jitsu, I could toss them.
Got it.
Yeah, and if I could get them in a front headlock, and get an overhook, I would just sit back and do my, my basic move, that elevator. And I'd get them on their back and then just squeeze their head and they'd tap. And it was, I didn't really get into all the technicalities of the sport or anything like that. But, like I would go for arm bars and later on after a couple months of doing that, ankle locks. It was so awesome. That was so easy for me to do too because I would have long legs and I'd kick them back, capture that leg, that ankle, and I'd just sit back with it. And it tapped everybody every time. And I was like, man, this is awesome. And it felt good getting back into a sport to where, like people, I'm not trying to hurt you, but, they want it's like a dominant sport. Like, you want to win, and it was cool. And, and I wasn't that guy in jiu-jitsu that tried to slam everybody, because I came in there and I was like, these guys know what they're doing. I don't. And I shut my ego off going in, that was something that I had to do because if I went in there with an ego, then, they would mess me up and I would be like, I don't want to do this anymore, So I came in there knowing I was going to lose, and so the first few months I'd go in there, I had a couple, good matches, but I lost a lot just in practice. I didn't compete in any tournaments or anything. But it was a good transition into that sport, but yeah.
When you stepped on the mats in the academy or dojo or whatever they're called, the school, did they ask you about your background with grappling or anything?
They didn't. They didn't.
Okay.
I kept it a secret too. People would I just said I know nothing about jiu-jitsu, and they're like, all right, so yeah, we'll teach you the basics, arm bars, kimuras and all that stuff, just basic submissions and like people triangled me a lot because I'd shoot in on them and they'd just pull guard and, I'm like, how do I not have that happen, So I just put my weight on them. And then when we'd stand up, because we didn't start off doing practice, standing up, we'd always start in guard or something like that. But when we would stand up, I was like, this is my time to shine. And they didn't know that I knew how to throw people. And I took advantage of that. And then later on, the professor or, whatever you want to call the black belt, the coach or
coach,
whatever.
Yeah.
He asked me, I was like, did you have any grappling experience? I was like, yeah, I was a state champ in wrestling. And, and he was like, you should have told me that, man. I would put you against better people. And I was like, well, please do. And, and I got into that, and it was really fun to, really just get back into that sport.
Got it. So you bring up judo.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched any judo matches to kind of pick up from that?
The only person that I really watched judo, I would go on YouTube and learn throws like that. But Ron Tripp would come in here back in the day when Coach Oz used to wrestle or coach. Ron Tripp would come and help out because he had 2 kids that were in wrestling as well, Hunter Leonard and Tanner Leonard, and that was their stepdad. And he would come in and teach us some judo. And he's a judo Olympic champ, world champ, something like that. And he would teach us these throws, and he would always try to convince me. He was like, dude, come do judo, do judo. And I'm like, I will, but I never did. But he would teach me the moves, and and I wish that's something I did capitalize on, is taking advantage of that. I'd probably expand more in that into the sports, judo and wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I'd probably be better if I took advantage of that. But wrestling definitely helped me out with jiu-jitsu. So
Would you, as far as seeing both things, being in a wrestling room, training jiu-jitsu, if you could offer up for a young grappler, what would you recommend as a base for grappling?
Oh, wrestling, hands down. Wrestling gets you into those weird positions where you got to fight for it. And it's going to put you in positions where, you're on your back and you're going to fight to not be on your back. You're going to fight to not want to lose, because jiu-jitsu is more of submissions. That's how you lose. You can lose by points too. But in wrestling, it teaches you, not to expose yourself into these positions where, you could get choked out or, pinned or whatever. And grappling just teaches you a lot of the fundamentals and the basics of grappling. Or wrestling teaches you the fundamentals of grappling. But jiu-jitsu also, if kids in here do jiu-jitsu as well, you could see the wrestling expand. Because, you're going to be going against people that, know different things and put you in different positions. And some positions are the same, and you could help you transition from those positions. Yeah.
One of the things I brought up, I think it was a conversation you and I had, is whereas jiu-jitsu is like another dimension, right? So it's like the fourth dimension added on to your wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's coming from wrestling and going into jiu-jitsu, I knew nothing. I didn't know how to do these submissions. I've seen them on UFC and all that stuff and that. But it was a weird transition in how to get those set up. But it translates the same. I would say it translates from wrestling jiu-jitsu to jiu-jitsu. It definitely the basics translate the same.
Right.
So I could see it being a different level. After kids from going from high school wrestling and they don't do college wrestling, or even after college wrestling, they want to continue that sport. I think jiu-jitsu is a great thing to get into. And if you like that aspect of, just being on a team or, having training with other guys like that want to win and, like the aspect of the sport, I think it's a great transition.
There's also ways for athletes, at least in the sport of jiu-jitsu, I think wrestling is getting there too, collegiate style wrestling, to where they can actually make money competing.
Yeah, I heard about that. I know jiu-jitsu can make money. You can go to tournaments and, win a prize like that, and I think I haven't heard anything about collegiate wrestling doing that, but do you know anything about that?
Mainly sponsorship deals, right?
Yeah. What do you want to say?
I'm not 100% versed on it, but basically it's a lot of sponsorship deals. You're allowed. Even high schoolers now. Technically, if they wanted to, you could post up and sell shirts with all your info on it if you needed to.
I don't think that was available when you were going through that.
No, you would get shut down.
Yeah.
And now the college kids, they're making a lot of money depending on who it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they do camps now and stuff like that. You'll have
and
kids
you get
coming
paid
in.
for all that.
Yeah.
And, the the sponsorship deals are where the money's at nowadays. If you can get a good sponsorship,
Yeah.
you just think of all the old college athletes that could have got paid, dog.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just thinking like, looking at football, Johnny Manziel, when he was in college, I'm sure he got paid anyway, but
Yeah.
legally he could have made a lot more money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Allegedly, right?
Yeah, allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did y'all bring up anything as far as the transition from high school? You didn't wrestle in college,
I did not
you?
wrestle in college, no.
I got a story about that though. So
Yeah.
my nephew, Kendall Johnson from Geary, Oklahoma. I guess he knew you. Y'all was on the All-State team together, something like that. But he calls me up and says,
What's his name?
Kendall Johnson.
Kendall Johnson. Is he like a darker kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
So that's my nephew, right?
Yeah.
So he hit me up and he's like, "Hey man," 'cause he was going to school somewhere in I want to say he was going in Kansas somewhere. I want to say like Barton or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, my coach wants to know if Isaac is wrestling in college yet. So can I get his info?" And I was like, I sent it to Cody, and I don't know if Cody.
I don't think I ever got reached for it. No.
But anyways, we got him your info and stuff like that. But they was really wanting you to go wrestle there in Barton. I believe it was Barton.
Yeah, I think maybe I did get reached out by that coach. That sounds familiar. Yeah, I did. He messaged me on Twitter or something like that, or maybe it was a text. But yeah, I did get reached out by him, and at that point I was like, I'm just gonna do school, and I took it. I didn't take advantage of all the good things that come from wrestling after high school. I didn't take advantage of that, and I wanted a break, and I wish I didn't. I wish I would have continued with it and pushed myself harder. But yeah.
But you're in a good space where you're at now.
Yeah. I'm definitely, I'm not content because I always want more. I always want to be better with myself and where I'm at. But I'm in a good spot to where I could, hopefully achieve my dream of, being a park manager or anything like that. I'm working towards that. That's my new goal. But yeah, I'm in a good spot.
Hopefully you can get a park manager at the Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah, that would be cool.
In your spare time, be out here on the mats helping out these.
Dude, that would be
young
awesome.
ones.
That
Because I
would be
live
cool.
out there too, dude. I'd be
Yeah.
hitting you up every day. Hey, dog, where do I need to go?
Yeah.
Well, so your wrestling mindset helped you definitely get through college. The discipline, I would assume.
In the beginning, I was telling him, him and Cody, that I slacked off. I didn't take advantage of it. In the beginning, I was lazy. I saw it as an opportunity to be lazy, and I was like, oh, this is. I don't have anybody telling me what to do. I don't have to go to my classes. And then I realized one day I just woke up and I was like, dude, that's pathetic. You're being lazy. Like, why are you doing that? And I got to the wildlife fire program and started doing firefighting. And I got with that group of guys that, they don't like lazy, and I'm like, I'm not going to be lazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to, I have this mentality that's, built inside me from wrestling, and I'm going to use that and take advantage of it. And I'm glad I did, because now I'm in a good spot to where I could, advance in my future career.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did y'all talk about the wrestling room? Like comparing this wrestling room to when you came up?
We did not have all this stuff. We had one bike that was broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing all these treadmills, like benches, dummies, and all these dummies over here, and these bikes, man, like that's awesome. It's cool to see how much like funding that this program has gotten and how much it's grown. It's like, because we have you as the president, right?
Yeah, the youth league, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you're getting a lot of outreach, from people that are like wanting to help out, and
Yeah, we got a good team. With Rob stepping in this year too, he's really helped out a lot. And Rob's really always helped. He just hadn't been here because of the Army. It takes him away and stuff. But just having everybody on the team back, man, it really helps out. It makes everything so much easier, man. Just like anything, like you was talking about earlier with the people you work with. You don't want to be the lazy one. When you find a group of guys that are all kind of similar, think similar, you know what I mean? You see traits other people have, like, oh yeah, I can do that. Why am I not doing that?
Yeah,
so on
absolutely.
and so forth. You know what I mean? Like, hey, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just gotta be humble, man. I think is at the end of it, you just gotta be humble.
Yep.
With anything, really.
I know the kids like seeing you in here.
Yeah,
I like the young wrestlers.
Yeah, I like being in here. You know, I see, you know, like Jack. I love wrestling Jack because, you know, I'm bigger than him, a lot bigger than him, but we're the same body size or body style, and it's fun to wrestle people with the same body style because it's like I never really got to do that in wrestling, and
it's like you're beating off a lot of badgers, right?
Yeah,
Little honey badgers attacking your legs.
yeah. And, you know, working with some of these bigger kids, it's cool to – I want to push them because, you know, I had people push me, you know. And so if I could help them, I mean, they won't regret it.
You know, as I observe the room when I come in, you know, prior to you getting here, now that you're here, you could definitely tell, at least the first time when you stepped on the mat, the energy went up as far as these kids like, okay, it just got real. Where did this dude come from? Because I think some of them were younger, so they weren't here whenever you were going through getting your state championship. I think there's just a handful that recognized you, and the other one was like, okay, this is definitely different.
No, it was different because I didn't know. I only knew your daughter. That was it. That was the only person I knew. Looking around, I'm like, man, I don't recognize any of these kids. And then, you know, it's cool to see how much the sport has grown here at Elgin, and you know, we got a girls' league, and you know, how many kids were in here today? Like 80?
There was 80 kids.
Yeah,
that's wild, right?
That's insane. Like that, I've never seen that.
And you got to. One of the things one of the kids brought up is that to consider that it's fall break. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot that are either on vacation or they're just kind of they're doing other things. Yeah, and that could be about another 30, 35 kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think when Cody was doing the roster, there was it about like 130 or 140 kids? Yeah, like that's insane.
It's bigger than the football program as far as the amount of kids. Yeah, and about on par with the size of the Pride of Elgin, the band.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
I mean, eventually, I think we're gonna have to get another. There's gonna have to be another wrestling room.
Yeah.
Let's think if we had 3 more mats.
Yeah.
Or even just expanded it over to where we was at.
Yeah. Turn this into a mat right over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would probably be, and then just cut off the entrance, like you don't come past there. Mm-hmm. You know.
We still need to figure out where we're gonna put the box and all that stuff, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much potential, though.
It is, yeah. What about the middle school gym right there?
Say no more. No, that would be perfect, man. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Just switch gyms.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 solid locker rooms over there. Yeah. You know what I mean? They got a good girls locker room, a good boys locker room, and then also they got the weight set up in the back. So
you could bring this stuff in there.
You could have all the stuff over there, plus whatever's there. Yeah, that'd be great.
And I mean, it's like a full size basketball court, so you could fit,
I don't know how hot you can get that sucker though. Yeah. Because see, Coach Haas told me, he said these heater units right here, he said for one of them is big enough for this room. Yeah. But he said when they started putting about 2, he was like, well, I didn't argue with him.
So I think what happened was he only ordered 1.
Is that what it was?
And they got an extra one for free. Or it was like a different size, like it was supposed to be smaller. And he got these big ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. He was telling me that, and I was like, well, that makes sense.
I know coming in here in the winter and the kids are cutting weight, and this thing's like a furnace. It's like, holy hell. Yeah. Can't even breathe.
I wonder if you could transfer these heaters to that gym over there.
Maybe. I would think so.
I mean, surely there's a way to make that happen.
Yeah.
But then what would they do with this? You know what I mean? It's not like they're just going to tear it down.
No. They're going to use it.
I don't know. When I get $1 billion, I'll just build one.
There you go. Play the lotto.